Also, I'm going to try out a new seed starting medium this year, and if you are new to gardening and you want to also start seeds indoors, you can refer to your square foot gardening book. In that book, there are instructions on how to grow just about any vegetable or herb that you want to grow. And there are also charts in the back which should not be overlooked, because these charts are going to tell you when to start your seeds indoors and when you should transplant them outdoors. You will need to know your frost date, and I'll leave a little link below the video where you can find out your frost date. Of course, your seed packets also always have a lot of good instructions on there. So I usually will just use a seed starting mix. I do not use seed starting potting mix. You'll see a lot of times bags are labeled. They're also a potting mix. I do not use those. I want something just plain, clean. I don't need anything to feed my plants until they get their true leaves. So I want to reduce the chances of mold growing. So that way I'll just use something that's just very basic. This year I'm going to use a Coco Coir brick. I got this at Home Depot for $3, and I called my son over. We want to give it a try and see how it works for us. I thought this would be fun because I knew it was going to expand, but I didn't know how fast or how big it would get. And so that's a lot of fun. If you have kids, you can let them do this. All right, you can go ahead. Gently, just put it right there. And there it goes. Submerge it, push it down a little, turn it over. Kind of neat, huh? Look at it.
Oh my God! No way!
So I was very surprised for $3 how much I would get. Now I'm going to also add some of the coarse vermiculite that you saw me use for my outdoor raised beds. I'm going to put a little bit of that in here, but I don't think it's necessary, and maybe it is. I found this to be very light, airy, very clean. As a matter of fact, I recommend in the indoor grow system, if you want to grow organically, you could use this as a growing medium, and then just use, you could probably put worm castings in it, or you could also just use a water soluble organic fertilizer. I used about 4 quarts of water, and I still had a lot of water left over. I don't want it to be too wet. We don't want our medium to be too wet. Now if you have a hard time finding the bricks, they're also at pet stores. Now I also love to use this little windowsill box, and I've had a very hard time finding them. About 4 or 5 years ago I could find them at Walmart all the time, and now I searched the internet because there's a lot of them out there that don't have what's called the tray on beneath the cells, and that's real important for me, and I'll show you why as we go about this video, why it's important to have the tray beneath it. So you see how this is here. So I did find some on the internet. I went ahead and ordered one to make sure it was what I want to use, and to show you, you don't want these little things. Now these will fit in your windowsill also, but they don't have drainage holes, and I mean, I guess they're fine for starting, but they're $3, and yeah, you get the little peat things in there, but for long term, I mean, I've been using mine 4 or 5 years for 3 seasons or more each year, so I've gotten a lot of use out of them. Of course, you can always make your own by just taking some little Dixie cups, putting holes in those, and putting them in just like a little salad container or something like that. That's another way to do it. But I'll just show you how I've been doing this for a very long time, and I'm going to take my new seed starting mix, which I really love. It's not real dusty, it's nice and clean, and I'll go ahead and start my seeds. Now I get 36 cell pockets out of here. So my first 6 cell pockets, I'm going to plant the Napa cabbage, the Napa Chinese cabbage, and then again, I'll do my Brussels sprouts too, and all of these I also grow in July. Okay, I always start these again midsummer for the fall harvest. And I also include recipes for all these vegetables on my channel. If you want to head over there, you can check out the playlist section, and you will find different recipes for each vegetable. So when you grow it and you don't know what to do with it, there you go. And then of course pak choi or bok choy. That is wonderful. It grows fast, and this will definitely be something that I grow every year from now on. I like to pick it when it's little, and it's just a beautiful little cabbage. And then rapini or broccoli rabe, wonderful little plant there. You can just pick on this as much as you want to. You can pull the whole plant. If you're doing succession planting and you need to plant something else, you can let it mature and then pick it then. A lot of these you can just pull leaves off of as you need them, and then you can pull the whole plant if you're succession planting. And then this cabbage here, I'm growing it for the first time this year. I'll let you know how that goes. So that's Savoy cabbage. And then the last sale, I decided to do 6 more Napa cabbage because I like to have those all through the river garden and my home garden. And we'll just very lightly put our seeds in there just on the top surface, then cover them up with just a tiny bit more of the seed starting mix, and then keep it misted. You don't want this to be too wet, okay? So I like to make this little chart. I have 36 cells here, so that's a lot of plants, and I don't want to get them confused. So I just mark my box with a right and a left, and I put a number on the front, and that's what I do to my chart. So I will know which 6, I'll plant 6 cells of each plant, and it's an easy way for me to keep up with it. So that's what I do. So it didn't take long at all before they popped up, and then I just want to cut out all of the little seedlings, so I just have 1 per cell. And I put them in the windowsill just because it's neat, and it's not out of my sight and out of my mind, so I can tend to it every day. I can mist them every day if I need to get them going. As a matter of fact, I misted them about 2 or 3 times. And then once they were all up, I went ahead and moved them outside, and this is where I let my plants grow. I do not use grow lights for my seedlings. They love to be outside in the natural sunlight. It also reduces any chance of fungus or mold growing, which attracts the fungus gnats, and so I just like to do it that way. And I keep an eye on my weather forecast, and if it looks like there's going to be rain in the weather forecast, I will take my little cells out of their tray so they don't drown, but I do let the rainfall hit them. Now, if it's going to be a really cold night, like maybe in the 20s, these cold season vegetables, I will bring them inside just so they're not too shocked. I think after a while they'll be fine outside, but initially in the very beginning I'll bring them in if it's in the 20s. In the 30s they're fine, so I'll just kind of leave them outside, and then I will water them. This is one of the reasons I like these little trays, because you can just water the bottom. They have little ridges at the bottom of the trays, and then the plants can take it up as they need it. Now, they don't need nutrition when they're at the very young stage, when they just have 2 leaves. These are their little seedling leaves. So here are the seedling leaves down here at the bottom, and then these other leaves are their true leaves, and this is when they start to need some nutrition. So you can just feed them with a diluted water-soluble fertilizer when they're very, very young. And before long, they will be just healthy and beautiful. And I didn't have to transplant these up to a bigger cup or anything. I can look at my square foot garden book again, and it tells you ideally when you want to move these into your garden. So I will just plant these all through the garden. I've planted these when they only have 3 leaves on them, and they did great. As a matter of fact, I think the younger you can get them into the garden, the better. They adjust so much better. And then basically this is how I do it. I will just go ahead and put a little compost with a little water in the soil, and it should be nice draining soil. If it's not, check out the soil mix that I use for my raised beds. This is at the river. It's a nice sandy soil. It drains wonderfully. And I'll sprinkle out a little bit of slug bait, because early in the spring, when it's cool and we start to get a lot of spring rains, those slugs love your baby seedlings. And that's probably been my biggest challenge with growing these cool season crops. So this is an organic way to keep the slugs away from your new seedlings early in the spring. And then I just side dress them throughout the growing season. And before long, I'll be enjoying them in my kitchen. Now, if you're not already following me over on Google Plus under my gardening tips collection, you can join over 80,000 other people over there, and I share various other things with you as far as gardening and other seasonal recipes. So thanks so much for watching. As always, feel free to share this on your favorite social media. I sure would appreciate it. Happy gardening. Have a beautiful day.